Hi, friends. Hello, the world. Welcome back to this episode of Tools for Transitioning Humanitarians. I'm your host, Priscilla Monova. And today I wanted to talk about my take on habits. And specifically, I wanted to talk about how I think about habits and how I use them in my life. I also talk about habits that I have and habits that I'm continuously installing and wanting to install, right? So this is the topic. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because I see that there's a lot of interest in how I do things in terms of habitual ways of doing things, but also how what habits could be useful for transitioning to making transition successful. And how are the ways we can do that and make that successful? And that's what I really wanted to share. So in case it helps you to think about your own habits, think about installing habits, think about how you can get ready for transitioning and how this all could work for you. So the way that I think about habits is in four ways. And I was like, okay, one, two, three, four, yes, in four ways. And I will explain to you why I think in those terms. Um, but let me give you first what are those four ways of how I think about habits, right? So I think about habits in terms of habitual thoughts or thought patterns that just keep coming up, and that we are aware of, maybe not aware of, but this is just the way that we think about things, right? That would be one area that I always look out and watch out for. The next one is habitual feelings that keep occurring in my life, and what are they telling me? Right. And they always occur for a reason. So I want to understand what they are. And the third one is habitual exercises that I do, and I will talk about that as well. And then the fourth one is habitual results that I keep creating over and over again. So the reason why I want to divide them into is it's easy for us as in the society to think about habits only in terms of great habits that we're trying to install or bad habits that we're trying to get rid of and how to do that. And we just get so hung up on we're not able to do that, right? And it becomes so like mystical for some people or something that we just start doing and then never finish it. So therefore, when I divide into what are the habits that I'm really looking at and what do I want to do with them, then it helps me to separate one thing from another. So if we think about the habitual thoughts or patterns that keep governing our lives, and the reason why I watch out for them all of the time is because I don't want limiting patterns or fearful patterns keep governing me because I want to let my life or live my life by freedom, by trust, by love, by expansion, abundance, right? So therefore, I also want those thought patterns governing my life and my decision making, my way of doing things in life, my way of contributing, creating impact in life. So that's why I want to watch out for what's going on and whether I'm making decisions or I'm doing things out of my own limitations or I'm doing it to expand myself, to grow, to be better than I was a few months ago, right? So the way that I watch for them uh, is every day, in fact, is I always put down all the thoughts that keep coming up all over again. And then I keep looking at them and I keep looking at them in terms of not only that they keep coming up, but I also make decisions as to what do I want to do with them. And then um, some of the times I also look at how they are influencing me, how they are influencing the way that I show up and I do things in life, right? So I will give you an example of this, several examples, in fact. So one of the thought patterns that I notice that keep coming up is whenever I want to go for something unknown, something new, my brain keeps saying things like, I have never done this before, it's hard, I don't know how to do this. I'm confused. So these are the thought patterns that keep coming up, no matter which unknown situation I'm going to, right? So in that case, what I want to then do is, as I keep observing all of this over and over, then what I want to do is I want to decide what to do with them. Now, I have tried many different ways, right? I have tried to addressing them, meaning I no longer want to think about them, or I no longer want to have them in my brain. And I tried many different ways to solve them, but some of the times I have just decided that they are habitual fear-led thought patterns that keep coming up, and they don't need to have power over me, meaning that I don't need to stop doing things because of them. And therefore, currently, the way that I treat them is, oh yeah, there's this thought again, and I don't need to listen to them, right? So just because they keep coming up does not mean that I need to just drop everything and go and just stay in, oh, it's hard and I'm not going to do it. Or just stay in, I have never done this, so I shouldn't do it. I don't follow them, right? So I just notice them. I give them space in some way to say, okay, I see you, but at the same time, I keep doing all the other things that I want to do, right? And the other thing that I noticed recently that I was trying to get back to waking up early and doing certain exercises in the morning, I notice my brain also coming up with, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I don't want to do this, right? So these are the, again, the habitual patterns or habitual thoughts that keep coming up. And then in that moment, I always choose which one to go for, right? I choose to comply with them, in which case my habit is not going to be installed, or I choose to ignore them, or I choose to tell them, okay, I hear you, but you have no power over me currently. I am going to do the other thing anyway, right? So that's why as soon as I see what are the habitual thought patterns that tend to govern myself in the moments of choosing to go this way or that way, either the healthy way or not healthy way, either the direction of my dream and not direction of my dream, right? Whatever it is, in the moment when I need to make a choice, I see those thought patterns come up and then I decide whether I comply with them or not. So that's why I find the observing your thought patterns, habitual thought patterns, whenever you're going for the unknown, whenever you're going for transitioning, is so crucial because once you detect what they are, what you will notice also that they keep coming up and over again, and then you decide whether you want to comply with them or not, right? You decide whether you want to continue uh, following them and agreeing with those thoughts or not. Now, the second one is the habitual feelings. And the reason why I love this topic and I continue observing that as well every day is they always tell me the message of how I'm feeling currently, how I felt about this particular situation, right? And is if this particular situation keeps occurring again and again, and I keep feeling the same way and same way over again, then I also tell myself, do I want to keep feeling this way? Right? Do I want to keep reacting this way? Do I want to keep reinforcing this feeling that I don't actually want to have? And this used to be a lot in the past when it comes to feeling resentful, feeling angry, feeling offended, feeling hurt. When I used to have these feelings a lot of the time, and that led me to then complain about things, feel pity for myself, and feeling really victim about my own life, I realized that I actually don't want to keep feeling the same feeling over and over again. I don't want to even be in such situations over and over again where I react in the same way over and over again, right? So therefore, I decide then what to do with that feeling. I decide what to do with that feeling. And you can do that every day, by the way. You can just take one feeling at a time that you have observed yourself feel very often, very regularly. So then it means that it has become a habitual feeling that you just go to, right? I believe that we all have this go-to emotions that we go to very often. Now, when that happens, then we can decide what to do with them, right? We can decide, okay, either I keep reacting the same way to the similar situation over and over, which I don't like doing. I don't like keep being in the same situation without learning the lesson, basically, right? Or I decide that from now on, I'm no longer feeling resentful. And in order not to feel resentful, what do I need to do, right? Why am I feeling resentful? Because I'm believing that I am giving too much and they're not appreciating, for instance, right? I'm giving too much at work, I'm giving too much at home to my children, and they're not appreciating, they're not recognizing all the things that I'm giving. So therefore, I'm feeling resentful. Okay, then what I need to do is change the way that I'm doing currently, meaning giving all the things or keep expecting the recognition from them, right? So which one it is. So the goal is not to feel the same way anymore. And in order to do that, then we need to go back to, okay, what is it being created, caused by, and what are we going to do about that? And that way, as soon as I started solving one feeling at a time, one feeling at a time, for instance, I started solving for anger, right? Why do I feel angry about this person's behavior? Because I don't approve them. Okay. Just because I don't approve them, does that mean that they will stop doing it? No. Okay. Yeah. Will they continue doing the same behavior in the future? Probably. Okay. Then what am I going to do instead of just resorting to anger? Okay, I may set a boundary. Okay, how do I do that? The way I do it is I request them to not do this anymore. And if they don't, then there is a consequences, right? So you can see that we start solving every habitual emotion or feeling instead of just keep indulging in them, keep repeating over and over and feeling like we're not going anywhere. Then the habitual exercises, and that's, I think, the one that people ask me most, and this is how I would love to respond to that, is that I have the habitual exercises of meditating currently, which I love, and it gives me so much of learning about my inner world in a way that any other exercise can do. And I highly, highly recommend it. I use the guided meditation by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's all on YouTube free of charge. So I use them anytime. I use 30 minutes in the morning usually, and then an hour in the evening if I can, or lesser version. And what I'm really wanting to experience through meditation is not only getting to this calm place, this observing my thoughts, observing what's going on within my inner world, but also how I can move the energy within myself, how I can heal certain wounds through the energy. I'm very interested in that. And also how I create the realities I want from meditating, visualizing, feeling those feelings. And that's what I'm very curious about. So that's why I do meditation, um, I would say every day almost. Then the exercise that I love doing is what I said is observing my thoughts and feelings and writing them and then deciding what to do with them. Now, when I was talking to a client about this, journaling is another way that people talk about, right? When I was talking to a client about this, he was asking this question that I thought was very valid. He said, I do that too, but I end up doing the same things, right? I end up writing about the same thing. Now, this is where the problem is, though, that ideally, when we are writing about the same thing, that means that we haven't resolved the things from before, right? Just because we write things out onto a paper or in a computer does not mean that they're going to be resolved. It will give us a relief. It will give us the overview of what's going on within us, and that's amazing already. But what we need to do is take it to the next step, which is making decisions around them. In other words, solving them even if it's a one thing at a time, right? And the solving would be not necessarily like that problem does not occur or that thought does not occur anymore or that feeling does not occur anymore. But even if it, like, let's say that one way of solving it, they don't occur anymore, and that's amazing, right? But if you're not able to get to that, if you're not able to get to a place where you no longer feel that, but at least let's make the thought not powerful, meaning that let's make the thought keep coming back, but they have no influence over us, right? The way that I told you in the beginning of this episode is where I said that the thought of I have never done this before may keep coming up as many times as possible, but it never has any power over me, meaning that I don't stop doing things just because I've never done this before, right? So therefore, it's there, but it's not going to impact me in any way of shape. So that's what I mean is that when you journal, when you write things, and then you bring it to a solution of some sort. So one solution could be that you resolve that feeling, that thought, that situation. And therefore, you no longer need to keep writing the same thing over and over again. And if you notice that certain habitual thoughts keep coming up, bring it to a place where it has no longer power over you. So, for instance, if you're someone who just keeps beating herself up and you feel like you just can't stop doing that and you have tried so many different ways. Now, if every other solution that you've tried is not working, then how can we bring those thoughts, those self-beating thoughts, to a place where you are observing them, but you're not affected by them? And that is very possible. Now, the next one, sorry, the in my exercises, as you know, that I also do 10K a day, ideally every day. Sometimes I'm not able to do that because of work or other engagements. But the reason why I do that is I think I've explained this in previous episodes. But one of the things that I really love doing this is because I want to embody being the person who I want to become. And I want to also daydream and fantasize and soak up my own visualizations and fantasies, but also I use them to just listen to my thoughts and listen to what's going on, listen to how I'm feeling, and listen to giving space to all the feelings, and create and come up with ideas that I find very useful for the clients that I want to serve, right? So therefore, even though I'm walking, I can use that time of 10K steps every day to get so much out of them that I just feel like it's so good to do them. I also have the processing emotions exercise, which I do fairly regularly. And the way that I do it is I do it in the way that uh, Dr. Huberman, I think, calls it introspection, is where I go inside myself and I just keep observing what's happening and I allow for all the emotions to be there. I give them space. I don't judge them. I'm just like, okay, this is what the truth currently is, and I just allow all of them be there. And I keep observing my body, and then they start dissipating and dissolving themselves. And then I feel so much more relief instead of having the need to distract myself, right? So these are the exercises that I would say I do that almost every day, and I love doing them. And I love also seeing the effects of them. Now, there are also the exercises that I wouldn't want to do them, but I feel the need to do them, and it has been very challenging to install them. And I continue installing them little by little. So one of them is physical exercise, is something that I have been trying to install in so many different ways, and it hasn't really been solid yet. It hasn't been like the habit that I can't stop doing, right? But I am trying to do that. But also, I see that when it comes to like other people that I coach and see that there is like a lot of this misconception of habits are very difficult to install if the ones that we really want to, and then habits that we're trying to get rid of, it's very difficult to get rid of them because we are just so used to doing that, right? And when I see those type of mindsets, I would say that the best way to resolve that mindset is not even in the activity itself, not in the exercise, but in actually our ability to change. We believe that we're not capable of. right? We believe that we're not capable of changing, we're not capable of getting rid of that habit, or we're not capable of installing that habit. And therefore, we just keep doing the same thing over and over without really getting to anywhere. So that's why if that is the case, that you feel like there are exercises that you want to install, then you really need to think about, okay, what do you need to believe about yourself that you can actually do that, right? So you need to believe that you can do that. And the next thing is you also need to believe that you are able to withstand whatever uncomfortable feeling as you go start installing them. Because, like I said, in my case with the physical exercises, my brain tends to have a lot of thoughts about it, a lot of rejection or resistance to it, right? So that's why my job in that moment is how to allow the resistance to be there and still continue doing it, how to allow all of my thoughts wilding up and going against me and still continue doing it. And that's very uncomfortable. But that's the thing, is that for a habit to be installed, I believe, is we need to have a belief that we actually can do it. We also need to have the tolerance or patience for being uncomfortable while doing it, and intentionality of keep doing it and keep doing it. And the same goes for the habits that we want to get rid of, is we need to believe that we're capable of doing it, quitting it. And we also need to do this exercises, whatever the exercise that takes, intentionally, right? And feeling uncomfortable, but keep doing it anyway. Keep making the choices that get us towards quitting that habit that we don't want to have. And these are really the three elements that are necessary. And even though they seem very simple, but when it comes to actually doing it, it may feel very uncomfortable. And that's the uncomfortable part we oftentimes are not willing to have. And that's when these habits all then lead to habitual results that we have, right? And habitual results might be very different for many of us. So for some of us, habitual results might actually be very exhausted feeling, the energy drained feeling, the feeling of not really being able to do anything after work, right? These are habitual results that we keep creating every day, right? And habitual results might be also having certain health conditions, or habitual results might be that keep continuing gaining weight, or keep feeling distracted the whole time that we can concentrate, right? So these are all habitual results. And the reason why I want to distinguish them is also to look at, okay, what are the results that I keep seeing in my life every day? So, for instance, one of my clients was telling me that she just feels like she has no time for anything at all. And she just feels she keeps reacting to things. Now, keep reacting to things is a habitual result that we're creating. And the reason why we keep reacting to things is we believe that we're not in charge, right? We're not in charge of proactively doing things that we actually want to. Therefore, we don't really stand by doing the things that we said we would do. And we keep reacting to either people pleasing or believing that we are indispensable and we should be the one putting out fire. And we just keep doing it over and over again. And that's the result. So if we have the result of never being in charge of our time, that's a habitual result, right? And therefore, in order to change the result, though, we need to look at, okay, what are the emotions driving this result, and what are the actions that are driving this result, right? So usually we tend to do the same thing over and over again. And then what are the thought patterns that are driving this feeling and the actions? And then once we start understanding them, then we are able to change the results that we actually do not want. And as soon as we learn how to do that, we then stop being victims or hostages of our current situation, because we then know how to be in charge of our time, our situation, our results, our feelings, and all of this. So I want to finish with this, is that the reason why I feel I have been able to work on so many habits to either remove or to install, the reason why I'm able to do that is because I have been able to put them into these categories and look at them and examine them separately and deciding what to do with them. And therefore, as a result, I'm now able to be in charge of my schedule the whole time, my time the whole time. I'm able to also spend my energy on the things that I really believe matter and don't spend on it if it's like in no way getting me anywhere, basically. Right. And I have such a freedom in all of this. And also, I have such a freedom in making the impact I want to with people that I want to, and creating the results I want to because of these habitual thought patterns that I have examined, because of the feelings that I have been able to be in charge of them so much. I'm able to exercise things the way I want to and create results I want to. And that's why my true wish for you, sorry that there is a helicopter going on. That's why my true wish for you is that you start looking at how do you function or how are you in the world? How do you show up for yourself or for others habitually? And which are the ones that you really don't like and you want to change? And the way that you can do that is looking at whether you believe you can change it, right? Looking at whether you believe that you are able to be uncomfortable while changing it, and looking at how intentional you can be about changing it. And if you can fix or look at these three things and be intentional about it, believing that you can actually do that, and believing that you are okay being uncomfortable while changing it, then voila, you're changing whatever the thing that you want to, you can change it. Okay. If you would like to work on this and would like to get to habits that you really love and serve you in the long run, and the habits that you don't want to, getting rid of them, whatever that is, whether this is the work related, whether it's a workaholic thing, whether it's a shopping thing, whether it's something else that's getting you away from actually going towards and living the life you want to, then come coach with me. I would love to help you to look at all of them and then decide how to start changing one by one. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful week. Bye.